Party started.
Let's do it. Good morning, everyone. We'd like to get started on agenda item number 80. I'm going to reconvene our meeting. Thank you all for joining us this morning here. So we're going to move on to agenda item number 80, which is our contract for ground ambulance medical transportation services. We are going to have a staff report given, and then we will have the presenters. We'll go in alphabetical order. I'll have AMR first, and then Confire each give up to 20 minutes of a presentation. Then I will take public comment on the item, and then we'll bring it back to the board for questions and discussion. So Luther.
All right. Good morning, Madam Chair, members of the board. I'm excited and grateful to be here. Talk about the contract presentation related to ground ambulance transportation services. Before we dive into the request for proposals process and have a public discussion regarding the proposed contracts, I want to take a few moments and go over some brief background regarding ambulance service in the county. So San Bernardino County is divided into 26 operating areas. These provide the boundaries by which providers operate within in order to ensure appropriate regulation of ambulance transport services throughout the county. There are 7 operating areas which are non-exclusive. This means that any provider may provide service in that area. And then there's 19 exclusive operating areas, and this requires to operate in these areas, it requires a board-approved contract. Quickly on slide 3 here, you can kind of see how those 26 different operating areas lay out in the county. So today, the board will consider awarding a contract that includes 11 grouped exclusive operating areas. This is being referred to as the comprehensive service area. And this area encompasses the majority of San Bernardino County's valley region and then parts of the high desert and the mountain region. So similarly, I have a map here that shows the comprehensive service area that makes up those 11 exclusive operating areas. So those are reflected in the yellow highlighted areas here. Per the Health and Safety Code, local EMS plans may select providers through a competitive process. The other option is existing providers that were previously operating in an area without interruption since 1981. They may be grandfathered in and be utilized as the exclusive provider. Historically, the practice of the county has been to continue to allow the previous providers to serve those areas. However, in 2022, at the direction of the Board of Supervisors, the board directed the county to work towards identifying and putting in place a new high-performance and quality-driven contract through a competitive process. So therefore, in line with that, in December of 2022, the county released a request for proposals for ground ambulance services in the comprehensive service area. The services covered under this RFP align with the traditional ambulance services as you see listed here: advanced life support, basic life support, interfacility transports, and critical care transports. The proposers for this RFP had to meet minimum technical and financial requirements as laid out in the request for proposal documents. This would ensure that there's stability, sustainability, and quality in the service that would be provided. At the conclusion of the RFP process, 2 proposals were received that met the minimum qualifications. One was from American Medical Response, or known as AMR, and the other was from the Consolidated Fire Agencies, otherwise known as Confire. An evaluation panel was put together, comprised of 4 evaluators who each individually scored the proposal on 14 key areas. I won't go over the key areas, but you can see them listed here. Those were the areas of focus from a scoring standpoint. Now, the proposers could earn a total of 1,720 points. Both proposals scored high and similarly in overall scores. AMR scored 1,519 points, and Confire scored 1,515 points. However, 3 of the 4 evaluators scored Confire higher, and one evaluator scored AMR higher. Therefore, we ended up with two proposals that were substantially equivalent in their scoring. The decision was made to proceed with negotiating with both proposers, which began in June of this year. The negotiations occurred, and at the completion of that process, an intent to award notice was issued to AMR. However, as was indicated in that notice, again, as the scores were substantially equivalent, both contracts are being presented to the board for consideration of the proposal that demonstrates the best value and meets the needs of the county. And this aligns with various county policies, which gives the Board of Supervisors the ultimate sole authority to approve contracts. I think it's important to note that, as mentioned before, both providers met the minimum technical and financial requirements. Additionally, the proposers will develop and adhere to established clinical performance standards as part of the contract, as well as required response times. Again, both proposers have committed to meeting these standards and are capable of doing so. If they are not met at certain times during the operation of these penalties, called liquidated damages, will apply with the intention of incentivizing quality performance from our proposers. So jumping right to it, the action that's before the board today is to approve a contract to provide ambulance services in the comprehensive service area. The contract length is for a 5-year initial term and includes the ability to extend the contract for a second 5-year term. This really completes my presentation. At this point, Madam Chair, the next step would be, unless you have any questions now, to bring up AMR, who would have 20 minutes to present to the board their proposal, and then that'd be followed by Confire, who would be given the same opportunity.
That sounds great.
Thank you.
And we'll have you present down here from this table in front, please.
So, Madam Chair, we will be timing, excuse me, timing the presentation, and there is a timer on your the table, a little timer, so you can see once it goes on your time, and then it'll let you know when there's 30 seconds left.
Got that little screen here?
Yes.
Okay, perfect.
Thank you.
Oh, that's. Want to test that?
Good morning, and thank you for joining us.
Good morning, Madam Chair, honorable members of the Board of Supervisors, county administration, as well as members of the public. And I'll just start off real quick by commending all the men and women in uniform here today that do serve not just San Bernardino, but the public. So pleasure to be here to discuss what I hope to be a pretty convincing case of the proposal that we put forward. Just a quick note about myself. I did grow up a few towns over here from to the west, and I've served my entire career here in Southern California. I actually came up through the aviation side until AMR and Reach Air Medical came together to form Global Medical Response. So I've been in this industry quite a while, also serving my community also as an elected official. So I turn back to you. I commend you for your years of service, many of you serving the way you do. I know this is going to be a big decision coming before you. Mike, do you want to introduce yourself here real quick?
Yeah, hi, my name is Mike Rice. I'm the Vice President of Operations, and I support our operations here in San Bernardino County as well as other counties throughout Southern California.
All right, we'll move on to the kind of kick off our introduction here. Within our proposal, I'd like to distill this for the board as well as the members of the public. There's really 3 very key things that I think we bring as far as a value proposition to the county. Number 1, stability. Number 2, performance. And number 3, of course, clinical excellence. And what I'm going to share with you over the next few minutes, I think will make that case, both past as well as I would like to speak into the future as the proposal does as far as what we proposed. We've performed over 40 plus years of service here in San Bernardino County. AMR is the best position to take this into the future. We're fully integrated with the fire departments, public health, behavioral health, the communities that we serve, and that's just the nature of what happens with a service like this when it performs what it does for so many decades. We are definitely part of the community. By selecting AMR as your continued provider, San Bernardino will certainly have the most resilient and innovative EMS system available. Stay right here, Mike. Just as you see up here, these slides, they cover the elements of the proposal, and as best I can, I wanted to put this, we wanted to make sure that both you as the board, as you're, I'm sure as you've looked at this topic over the past year, but also the public to understand what our proposal does is it brings the most important, this probably could not be a more pivotal time in EMS. And a lot of that, as I'll refer to, is coming out of this global pandemic. But I want to start with the depth of resources. We're offering 111 ambulances for San Bernardino and hundreds more in the surrounding counties if you include our ability to both surge as well as mutual aid with the surrounding counties that we also serve. We have bid in our bid 12,889 weekly unit hours. And just for the public to understand, a unit hour is taking an ambulance fully, full costs considered for an hour. So 12,889, and I believe the competitive bid is putting 10,371 weekly hours. So fairly significant. History of performance, our track record demonstrates our performance outcomes, and I do intend to share that with you next here. Our expertise, our background, our experiences, I referenced the 40 years. We have brought just a grouping of true professionals that have been in this industry for decades. I think the importance, again, I go back to stability, as well as I want the board to consider the continuity of service. With my own experience, even the county that I do hail from, I can share that's a very important point when it comes to EMS systems. Disaster response capabilities, we address that in our proposal, and I'll share in the next few minutes what that is. But a command vehicle that will be able to be rapidly deployed when needed, and also share our capabilities as an organization nationwide. And then finally, I think very important here is risk factor. Our proposal presents the least amount of risk to the county. How so? Well, for one, without expending a single tax dollar, a single general fund dollar, AMR insulates the county and has from the payer mix fluctuation, from the payer behavior, from the ever-changing landscape when it does come to reimbursement amongst a very diverse population. So not only to consider that, but anything that would negatively affect system revenue could put the county at risk for subsidizing. Let's dive in and zoom into compliance. And I know this is a little busy because it is a data set, but again, it's available for closer inspection. This is AMR compliance, and I want to allay any misinformation about AMR's on-time performance. As you can see, as shared upon here over the past year and a half, few years, and this is even after emerging after a global pandemic, AMR meets or exceeds all response standards. This was accomplished by many of the men and women that are behind me, the team that took swift action right in the middle of a nationwide healthcare staffing crisis, I think that we all acknowledge. A note up there also, all compliance calculations are audited and approved by ISEMA. We'll go to the next slide here. This is very important because, again, our proposal really anchors these tenets. These are the tenets to our solution right here, and it begins right at the top there with equity of care. Advanced system status management through AMR's proprietary operations and analytics platform ensures that the community receives the best possible response time, regardless of economic status. Number two, as expected, clinical excellence. We're evidence-based. First Watch Clinical Scorecard provides detailed clinical data sets, which AMR's physician medical director, as well as our clinical education staff, to look at system trends, enhance our ability to deliver high-quality patient care. There's much more that goes on with that, with our quality assurance and our continuous quality improvement. Also, I'll mention we participated in clinical trials, not just within around the nation, but right here in San Bernardino County. San Bernardino County is also an integrated air and ground system when it comes to AMR and our greater company of GMR. What does that mean? We're one of the few companies that can do QA, bidirectional QA, QI between mode of transportation. It's our way of making sure that the right patient gets the right mode at the right time. We've collected 16,000 such reviews nationwide. So you can imagine from a learning standpoint and quality improvement, once again, what we're able to do with a robust system such as what we have here in San Bernardino County. Community engagement, there's a lot I can say here. It's woven into our DNA. We're very proud of the fact that we are engaged in multiple, very well noted events, compression-only CPR training, stop the bleed, fill the ambulance, which is obviously part of the holiday season here right now, clothing drives, diaper drives, high school engagement, career days, and I can go on again, but something that our teams, that our organization is very passionate about. Collaboration, you really couldn't have a robust system without collaboration. We work very hard with our fire partners, hospital, public health, behavioral health to ensure a transparent system. And I'll just give you an example of collaboration. This is going back to the pandemic, we partnered with St. Mary's to assist in vaccination clinics. At the height of the pandemic, we vaccinated 40,000 people, citizens of San Bernardino County. We hosted COVID vaccination clinics, not only for our own staff, but we also did that and opened that to the sheriff's office staff and fire staff. And again, it was a time and a place we're doing the right thing for each other. Couldn't have been more important. Lastly, innovation, and you'll see in upcoming slides, I'll go back and touch on a few of these tenets because they're obviously woven into our proposal. But one of the things that we have proposed from an innovation standpoint is our non-ambulance behavioral health transportation solution. All of these steps, they decompress to help to decompress a 911 system. Part of that also is our suite of technologies that we do offer, whether it's our hospital partners, and certainly would be open and offered to the county for consideration. One such example is our transportation management platform, which is an easier way to say this, online ordering for ordering ambulance. We have a program within that called Concierge Transport, which allows our hospital partners, kind of like making a reservation at a restaurant, open table. They see an open slot, they take it. It's a highly efficient way to manage non-emergent patients that are going outbound from a hospital, perhaps to long-term care, as an example. So again, these are many programs and technologies we have implemented in multiple cities across the nation. Certainly some of these, as they're built into the proposal or have been offered to our hospital partners, we're looking forward to those implementations. We'll go to the next slide. Outcome-focused clinical care. All of this means nothing unless we're serving our patients in the best way possible. We place a continued focus on our not only providing the high-quality care, but I mentioned the CQI, the continuous improvement. Our sickest patient, highest acuity patients from STEMI, strokes, traumas, sepsis, addressing that and how we ensure that success is through rigorous training, innovation, quality education, which is the feedback loop. It's a continuous practice. We'll go to the next slide. Low acuity systems of care. I do want to mention this because this is a big part of our sort of innovation solution here. Integrated with existing fire services is really a new frontier across the country with EMS to focus on the low acuity patient population. AMR has an entire suite of innovations, as I mentioned, but kind of the listing of that, I mentioned the concierge model, the transportation management, but we're also involved in non-emergent medical transport, even the usage of Lyft and Uber for medical transports versus taxi vouchers to get patients back home. All of these technologies are in a place to help keep a robust and efficient, resilient EMS 911 system operating. We also work closely with our skilled nursing facilities all throughout the county, rehabilitation facilities. These are all very important components that come together to keep the system robust. Go to the next slide. Just a subset of that, just a quick mention here again, in the proposal is the mental health client support that we are providing. 3 units dedicated to this. My opinion is I think that will continue to be an emerging part of the service, not just here, all across the country. And it's real important. Again, I'm really proud of the fact we're addressing that in the proposal. Our commitment to the employees and really hence the community. And you'll see how these two are really inextricably kind of welded together here. We're a proud union employer. AMR is honored to have the support of the United Steelworkers and the National Association of Government Employees. Thank you. International Association of Paramedics and EMTs Union, and represent a majority of AMR's employees here in San Bernardino County. And I am very proud, again, of the fact, as I mentioned, all of the men and women in uniform, but certainly the ones that support our mission as AMR here in the county, 24/7, 365. Thank you for being here. We're homegrown. It's a homegrown team. 1,000+ EMTs, nurses, management, support service. I can't imagine if we quantify the expertise amongst that and the experience, but I am not the only one with a little gray on the face. There are many folks here that are not only homegrown, went to school here, grew up here, constituents here, contributors here, but have served their community here wearing the proud AMR patch. You'll see photographed here is Rampart. We're very excited about our therapy dog program. You have 2 that are assigned here. My opinion, that should have scored Mr. Munoz in the RFP, you know, the cuteness actually of our dog. But it's a program that's been launched all across the nation, and we're very proud of that, but that's who's in the picture there. Community-based recruitment. AMR's innovative Earn While You Learn program creates a career path by hiring diverse and talented individuals from the community. These students are hired and they're paid to attend EMT school on our dime through our program. This is award-winning in other parts of the nation, some very large metropolitan areas, and a program that continues to deliver the type of individual that you love to see come up through the community. AMR has established our own county paramedic training program to combat the staffing shortages, much like what we saw that were at an incredible level just a few years ago during the pandemic, as we've seen with healthcare across the country. But just to share with you a number, we have 142 currently paramedics in various stages that are contracted, under contract with AMR, coming through that pipeline. Not only is that robust, that ensures that we have a consistent line of paramedics coming in should there be shortages on the external candidacy side. Diversity, equity, and inclusion. It's really woven into AMR's ethos. It's to ensure as a local employer and provider of healthcare that we demonstrate equity, leadership, and advancing culturally engaged approach to EMS. So how do we do that? Recruitment and hiring begins right at the start. Targeted training, and I'll share a little bit on that, a personal story. Treatment disparities review, care equity assurance, community education. Targeted training, as I said, I'd circle back to that. We have an award-winning program through Franklin Covey, our unconscious bias training. We put all of our national frontline, obviously here in San Bernardino as well, that have gone through this training, unconscious bias training, to which I'm one of the national facilitators. So, and again, this is not by order, it's by volunteering, and it's doing the right thing. It's important that if this is ingrained in our culture, that it's something we don't just speak about, that we practice and do. Go to the next slide. So what are the outcomes? It's really a push for positive outcomes. It's recruitment that is rooted in mirroring the population. Engagement, local organization alignment, support of personnel that is mistreated, potentially by a patient, for example, that's on the external front. Skills development, critical conversations, difficult situations, and empathy, again, as I mentioned, through the targeted training. At the end of the day, the sum total is AMR is the partner and employer of choice. It's career path, earn while you learn, as I mentioned, competitive wages and benefits, and our sponsorship program that kind of keeps this continuum going. Our proposed plan, and I'm going to try to, I'll go back, our engaged community partner. One more item there to touch on. I didn't really give you any stats or facts there, but we have it for just our CPR program only, hands-on only, 3,207 residents we have trained this year to date. So obviously hopefully that number will wind up just a little bit higher, but I always think, how many lives does a hands-on CPR training potentially save? So very proud of that fact. Year to date, we've also donated over 5,900 hours of our employees' time to assist our local hospitals with patient offloading in emergency departments. Moving on to the plan. What's been proposed? We have a robust and proven deployment plan. 111 ambulances, as I mentioned, 150 available for surge. Type 3 911 ALS fleet, all-wheel drive units in key areas that need that. Constant performance monitoring to assure strict adherence to the contract requirements. And supervisors that are in dual roles as ALS quick response vehicles. These units bring advanced life care to patients during times of high demand and high surge times. We'll continue on here. These are some of our recent enhancements, and this is really just teasing out and highlighting what was included in the proposal. As mentioned, the Type 3 911 ambulances, the 4x4 vehicles as mentioned, the mental health units as mentioned, and the disaster command vehicle. These are all enhancements to what we're currently doing. Disaster preparedness is more of a visual, kind of an idea of what we plan to deliver. And this will be available to the county to deploy anywhere, anytime when needed. I mentioned something about an integrated air-ground organization. It's one of the things that certainly differentiate us. We are serving the public by air. I guess we don't have sea, but certainly by land. You put that together, this makes this resource available if and when needed, whether it's air support, fire support, rehab support, law enforcement support. You have your own fleet. Your departments have certainly these capabilities, but in a time of disaster when needed, I know this for a fact from my career, you never have enough when you need it the most. Special needs, search, disaster response, again, very proud of the fact, and I do hope the board considers the power of that integrated model. Go to the next. Sustainable financial approach. We're financially strong. I think that's been vetted. We're stable. We're here. There's something of value with continuity. I'll go to the next. I know I'm coming down on time. This is really just a zoom out on the disaster side. This is who your partner is. 38,000 professionals across 50 states. We touch over 200 million lives out of 332 in the country. Just during COVID alone, we transported 350,000 COVID patients, procured 25 million masks, 685 working on days of deployment with our government partners. This is who your partner is. When needed, this is what we can deliver. It's my last slide, I'll conclude here. Madam Chair, if I can just get just an extra minute. We're looking forward. We have more ambulances, more
That's
unit
time.
hours.
I'm sorry, I need you to wrap it up. So, thank
60
you.
seconds.
Thank you very much for the presentation. I'm holding everyone to the 20 minutes.
Oh.
Thank you. Next, we'll have the Confire JPA present. Good morning. And again, 20 minutes when the clock starts, when you're ready.
Good afternoon. My name is Lynn Kennedy, and I am the chair of the Confire Board. And on behalf of every single fire agency and city that are members of that board, I want to say thank you. Thank you for your leadership, and thank you for your commitment. Selecting a new EMS service model is an immense undertaking with great responsibility. You have invested so much time and thought and been mindful about the process, and that has not gone unnoticed. And for that, again, I want to say thank you. And in every single journey, when you build something new, it starts like this. Laying a foundation, creating a platform for something new. And you did that when you developed the RFP process. And this is what the Confire RFP process looks like. It is comprehensive and includes technical expertise and experience that is truly unparalleled. Their commitment of what was put into this will result in increased resources, decreased response times, and a delivery model that includes private-public partnership. Private partnership with priority ambulance that has the capacity to serve our county, and the public partnership that crosses a continuum of care, making sure that every single resident receives the right care at the right time, on time, every time, without exception. This is a model that the county can be proud of, delivered with a level of excellence that is the hallmark of the men and women that serve every day in our fire department to make sure that our community has their needs met. It's going to be transformational in these three areas. It's going to improve our service delivery, establish an efficient system, and invest both financial and human resources back into the system. Today, we have members of our team that include Rancho Cucamonga Fire Chief Mike McClyman and our interim Fire Chief of Confire, Nathan Cook. Mike McClyman, our chief, is going to start by talking about the RFP process and the stakeholders who were included, and Chief Cook will go in depth and drill down into each of those service, performance, efficiency, and investment areas. I'm going to take my seat and exchange with Chief Cook.
So good afternoon, board. It's an honor and pleasure to be here. We come here as part of your community. We are the community. In fact, we grew up here. Nate Cook went to Eisenhower High School. I went to Faux High. Lynn Kennedy went to San Bernardino High School. We are vested in this community, in this San Bernardino County. That's what we are about. Faux High and Ike were rivals, so yes, back in the day. So we're here, I'm here to represent the fire chiefs throughout the county, also to talk about the folks that are behind us. When we started, we wanted a transparent and accountable process. We wanted inclusion in this process. So how did we go about doing that? Well, the first thing we did is we engaged our community and our patients. We did that by engaging our elected officials who are sworn, like all of you, to protect those folks. So we reached out to, as you'll notice, they're sitting behind us, our elected officials throughout the county and said, how do we do better? Next, we made a point of reaching out to our labor unions because we value labor. As a former union president myself, involving the labor unions from the very beginning and valuing labor matters to us. So we engaged them as stakeholders. We went to our hospital associations. We reached out to HASC. We met with every hospital in the county, whether their CEO, vice presidents, their head of nursing, and their emergency room doctors. We asked them, what are your needs? How could we serve you? And we incorporated that into our presentation, into our proposal. Then, absolutely, behavioral and mental health is a #1 priority for this county. So who better to talk to? Well, like in the earlier meeting in your general session, we spoke to law enforcement. We spoke to the police chiefs. We spoke to Sheriff Dykes. We said, what are your issues and how can we incorporate that into our proposal? That was the part of the transparency and accountability that we brought to this process. When we look at it, and we were looking at what the county valued and what you were looking for, your consultant endpoint stated they felt the best model would be a public-private partnership. So Confire said, well, let's go to RFP. Let's open it up to any provider that would like to put in for it. Well, Priority Ambulance did. They're one of the largest ambulance companies in the country. They vowed to be our partner, and we wanted them to be our partner. And we want them to be our partner because they value what all of you value and what we value, which is our community first. They value public-private partnerships. They're already doing that model throughout the country. It is something that we hold dear and we know that we want to be a part of. The CEO of Priority Ambulance is sitting right behind us in the blue suit, Brian Gibson. Brian is here with his team to show his support for this process. And if there's any concern about, well, who is Confire? What does it make up? Well, Confire, we're the consolidated group of fire agencies. We are the men and women that are sworn to protect these communities every single day. We're the elected officials like you that take the oath that swear that we are going to make sure that we account for the health and well-being of the communities that we all serve. We are proud to be Confire. We're entrusted to handle the emergency response resources, and we take very strongly our commitment to the fiduciary responsibility. So lastly, I just ask you to look behind you. The men and women sitting behind, we are Confire. Thank you very much.
Good morning, Madam Chair, supervisors, and county staff. We're asking each of you to join us as we reimagine the future of EMS and mobile healthcare in San Bernardino County with a new high-performance and quality-driven system for the first time in nearly 40 years. Our proposal brings many innovative and sustainable solutions that the incumbent provider cannot perform due to local control and state statutes to the 4 distinctive issues we feel are plaguing the ambulance system in this county. That being a rising and unsustainable call volume, geographical challenges, the throughput issues in our local hospitals, and a bifurcated system between the public and private EMS providers. Our proposal has solutions for each of these unique challenges that will be addressed by improving service delivery, establishing more efficient services, and investing back into the county EMS system. Confire's proposal will improve service delivery, and this is how we intend to do that. By state statute, Confire serves as the County Public Safety Answering Point, or PSAP, and is the agency that receives and processes 911 calls for emergencies. We use emergency medical dispatching protocols that allow us to quickly triage the call to determine the level of acuity, to tier our response accordingly, and to provide life-saving pre-arrival care and instructions, all while simultaneously sending the appropriate response and level of care. Confire has hundreds of resources strategically located throughout the entire county. Once we finally bring all the ambulance resources together on the same platform, we'll be able to leverage all of our EMS resources collectively through a tiered response model, significantly reducing the redundant and paralleled responses. This will allow us to hold back ambulances for the calls they are truly needed on. As the operational area coordinator for the county, Confire has never known the total number of private ambulances in our system at any given time. We have always been told that that information is proprietary. And as you know, as a governmental agency, we are mandated to be transparent to the communities we serve, and nothing is proprietary, especially the health and well-being of the public we serve. This has led to a bifurcated system that mandates a significant amount of paralleled and redundant emergency responses throughout the county, with increased safety risks to all of our first responders and the public. Confire will bring all public and private resources onto our current platform that uses cutting-edge technology and communication solutions which allow us to deploy resources effectively and efficiently in the largest county in the nation. In addition to the priority ambulances, we'll deploy 12 additional full-time fire department staffed ambulances in some of the hardest areas geographically in the county to serve, which will increase our ability to be more effective and cut down on response times. We will also strategically locate surge ambulances inside of our fire stations throughout the county that can be cross-staffed at a moment's notice by Confire agencies during surge periods, unexpected large-scale emergencies, and/or disasters, which we all know the county is no stranger to. We're also willing to enter into mutual aid agreements with all the public and private ambulance transport providers throughout the region. With the county's support, we stand ready to work with our local ambulance and medical transport providers to leverage their expertise, relationships, workforce, and innovative programs that are already being used in this county. A great example of this is the work being done by Symbiosis, a locally based company here in Redlands, and their shared value of reimagining care through their integrated out-of-hospital care services they are currently providing. As you can see, the incumbent provider has pledged more weekly unit hours and total number of ambulances. Their narrowed answer and approach to these longstanding unresolved issues is to add more ambulances into the system, shifting the cost of the insurance industry and our community members in an already economically fragile system. This would be equivalent to us addressing the transportation issues plaguing our state by putting more cars on the road in an already congested system, which will only make matters worse. Instead, we ought to be thinking about reimagining the future of transportation by making our communities more walkable, bikeable, and providing different modes of transportation. Instead of adding more ambulances into the system, Confire's proposal will establish a more efficient system that will allow us to leverage other resources and methodologies in order to get our patients the care that they need. As a result of our community members' reliance on the 911 system and their primary means of health care, Confire will continue to expand the services of the state's only emergency communications nurse system, or ECNS, which allows our lower acuity calls to be carved out of EMS and placed directly into the healthcare system where they belong. Our Confire nurses are able to assist and assessing, treating, and referring patients to the appropriate care they need without having to send an ambulance to the scene. We are currently partnering with IEHP and other payers to expand these services to include telehealth visits, alternate transportation services, and case management, which will decrease the impacts to our area hospitals, providing cost-effective alternatives for the insurance industry, the healthcare industry, the county, and the communities that we serve, as we will no longer have to keep deploying costly EMS resources into the field at the unsustainable rate that we're on. We partner with our area hospitals and healthcare experts to provide resources to address the throughput issue at the hospitals by leveraging technology and bringing innovative solutions that provide sustainable pressure relief mechanisms to a strained system. In partnership with Priority, we'll be standing up discharge lounges on site in our area hospitals. These innovations will help improve the throughput in these facilities, which will assist with decreasing offload patient delays in the emergency room, which is a significant issue plaguing this county. Will help reduce patient care efficiency and decrease the hospitals and payers' costs associated with having to wait for extended periods of times to be moved out of our area hospitals. In an effort to provide health equity to all residents and visitors in the county, we will continue to partner with our local law enforcement and county behavioral health agencies in deploying additional community outreach and support teams, or COAST, to provide a new level of care for members of our community who are experiencing a mental crisis. Our COAST units are multidisciplinary crisis response teams created to address the increasing number of homeless and permanent residents that suffer from addiction, mental illness, and behavioral health emergencies, which are taxing our local communities' public safety resources. Per statute, Confire agencies have been granted the authority to create community paramedicine programs in our local jurisdictions. These programs will allow Confire resources and paramedics to function outside of their traditional emergency response and transport roles to help facilitate more appropriate use of emergency care resources while enhancing access to primary care for medically underserved populations in this county. These programs will also help reduce unnecessary ambulance transports, thereby decreasing the impacts and pressures on our local emergency rooms, and will also free up ambulances for higher acuity patients. Confire's proposal will reinvest back into our system. As a public agency, Confire will be eligible for federal entitlement funding under Title 19 of the Social Security Act of 1965 that is not available to private companies through the intergovernmental transfer known as the Ground Emergency Medical Transport, or GEMT program. This is the same type of federal program that the healthcare industry and private ambulance providers currently rely on to offset the costs associated with treating and caring for patients on government subsidy programs such as Medi-Cal and Medicare. These federal entitlement programs have been around for decades and are very stable. It literally would take an act of Congress for them to be changed or stopped. Confire estimates the annual amount of eligible GMT funding to be around $30 million. We'll use this additional revenue stream along with any other source of revenue generated from this proposal to continue to innovate and reinvest back into the county EMS system, likely saving our payers, patients, and the healthcare industry in our communities throughout the region millions of dollars annually. Confire will also continue to make it a top priority to ensure that our workforce represents the communities that we serve in the way that we look, in the way that we speak, while embracing the diverse cultures that make up the fabric of all of our communities, so that we can better relate to those that we serve. As you're aware, Confire subcontracts with the County of San Bernardino for Human Resource Services, which allows us to mirror the county's policies related to diversity, equity, and inclusion, and follow best practices for recruitment and retention. These practices have allowed us to maintain a homegrown workforce. In partnership with Priority, Confire will remove many of the economic barriers that prevent our community members from becoming EMS workers by hiring them off the street without any experience or formal training. We'll provide in-house accelerated education and training by covering the cost of their classes and paying them to attend EMT training. In closing, we stand ready to work with the county. As Dr. Kennedy mentioned earlier, you have our unwavering commitment to improving the system. We'd be remiss if we didn't take an opportunity to address one of the most important issues, that being the people that provide these vital services to our community. We want to speak directly to the incumbent workforce that is here with us this morning. Your presence here today showcases your commitment to the county and the public we all serve together. We want to acknowledge and thank you all for the incredible efforts and sacrifices you make every single day, and for standing shoulder to shoulder with us in the trenches with our agencies while serving our communities together. We also want to acknowledge and validate your feelings of uncertainty, anxiety, and fear of the unknown due to this important decision. We want to reassure you that in the same way that we love and care for our people, we will absolutely do the same for your family and your loved ones, and are excited for the opportunity to finally be able to blend our families together, bringing with it unity and alignment. We're thankful that the county's RFP mandates the hiring of the incumbent workforce honoring seniority and to provide benefits and wages that match the current collective bargaining agreements. For the first time in the county's history, we'll finally have a fully integrated EMS system that will provide a better level of service to those that we are sworn to protect and serve, by providing an increase in safety for our workforce and the public, and will also offer many opportunities for a true cradle-to-career pathway for our first responders. As we conclude our thoughts, we want to reiterate that we share the county's value and commitment to improving the service delivery of EMS and overall health and well-being for our community, making this county a better place to work, live, and to play. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much. We will now move on to public comment on this agenda item. Our first speaker is Nicole Wood, who will be followed by Mayor Dennis Michael. Each speaker will have 3 minutes. And there are 2 podiums in the back of the room available, depending upon which one you're closest to.
Good afternoon. My name is Nicole Wood, and I currently work for AMR Redlands. I have the privilege of meeting some incredible people who genuinely care about assisting those in need in the community. Patient care is
Ma'am,
extremely
Can
important.
I ask you to speak into the microphone? We're having a difficult time hearing you.
I'm
Thank
sorry.
you.
Thank you.
Is it okay to start over? Or-
Please.
So good afternoon. My name is Nicole Wood, and I currently work for AMR Redlands. I have the privilege of meeting some incredible people who genuinely care about assisting those in need in the community. Patient care is extremely important to AMR personnel since many of us have experienced our own medical emergencies. We make every effort to serve all of our patients with the same warmth and compassion that we would extend to our own families. We make every effort to respond to calls as quickly and safely as possible because the community deserves a trustworthy company that can respond to their emergencies quickly and effectively. On June 3rd of this year, my son Robert drowned in a community pool in Montclair, California, while I was on duty. The medical professionals all agreed that Robert is alive today because of the fast response time of AMR. AMR has been incredible to me over the last 6 months. These remarkable individuals are more than simply my coworkers, they are my family. They were there for me when I needed them the most. Heather Watts, she is the operations manager of AMR Redlands, came to Pomona Valley Hospital and stayed with me the entire time. And she even drove me over to Chalk after Robert was airlifted from Pomona Valley Hospital. Heather, along with all of AMR Redlands and Rancho employees, organized a fundraiser for my son Robert while he was still in the ICU to help pay for his hyperbaric oxygen treatment in Louisiana, as well as his stem cell treatments in Arizona. They raised over $20,000 for my son through a GoFundMe campaign, as well as the fundraiser, which was held at AMR Redlands. Not only did the AMR employees save my son's life, but they also helped get him to a place where my son can now walk with assistance. My son is no longer in a vegetative state because of their quick response time and their generosity. Words cannot explain how grateful I am for all of these amazing people. They have truly shown me the meaning of community. Because of AMR, I am able to spend Christmas this year with both of my boys at home rather than mourning the death of my son at a cemetery. And in one final thought, we must all remember that life does happen. We often think that incidents or situations will never happen to me or my family, but then again, I never thought that my 3-year-old son would drown. The AMR crew that provided life-saving services of the highest quality had no knowledge I worked for AMR, and that crew intervened and treated my child with the utmost care, respect, and professionalism, for which I will forever be grateful as a mother. So when the next unfortunate situation happens in your life, how fast do you want someone to arrive to assist you or your family member? Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Mayor Dennis Michael, who will be followed by Mayor Phil Duber.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair and members of the Board of Supervisors. Again, Dennis Michael, proud to be the mayor of the city of Rancho Cucamonga. And you know, because of that, one of our highest priorities as elected officials is the overall well-being of our residents, of our visitors, of our workforces in our communities, and the delivery of emergency medical services is a key component of that. How those services are delivered is of utmost importance to everyone in our communities. I can tell you that I truly appreciate, and our constituents truly appreciate, the Board of Supervisors for your leadership, in particular in the area of emergency medical care, as you recognize the status quo of how services are being delivered needs to be improved and provided in a manner that is transparent, collaborative, efficient, and just as importantly, accountable to our communities and our public. A public-private partnership with Priority Ambulance, Confire's approach to provide emergency medical care and services is innovative, economically sustainable, and will reinvest, most importantly, back into our communities. It is for these reasons that I strongly urge you to select Confire as our new model for the delivery of emergency medical care, emergency medical transport services. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Mayor Phil Duper, who will be followed by Mayor Unishiloa.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair, Board. Thank you so much for your commitment to this county and your commitment to this process. My name is Phil Duper. I am the mayor of Loma Linda, and I'm also the vice chairperson of the Confire Board. Loma Linda being one of the original founding members of Confire, we are proud to support Confire's proposal. My community supports the proposal. And being a community of medical professionals with two of the largest medical providers in the county, I can tell you that those medical providers and those institutions also support this proposal. It was well stated earlier about the family that AMR has in our county, and we are welcoming them on board with the new provider once we start, and we sure will provide that same family service to them as well. That's all I needed to say. Thank you all for your time.
Thank you very much. Mayor Uloa, followed by Mayor Deborah Jones.
Good afternoon, Chair Rao and Supervisors. I'd like to thank you for being responsive to the concerns of our communities. As you know, our emergency response system needs to be overhauled because the current system is not meeting the needs of our residents. We can do better, and our residents are demanding that we do better with our service and innovation. I've witnessed firsthand the quality of care and the way Confire provides services. Confire's exceptional staff, of which the Chino Valley Fire is a member, has demonstrated sincere devotion and excellent service to our community. Confire shares your values and your commitment to improving the system. As local officials, you have our commitment to stand with you to ensure that our residents receive the services that they deserve. I respectfully urge you to select Confire to provide these critical services. Thank you so very much for hearing this issue today.
Thank you. Mayor Deborah Jones, who will be followed by Mayor Helen Tran.
Madam Chair, Mr. Vice President, members of the board, good afternoon. I'm Victorville Mayor Deborah Jones, and on behalf of the Victorville City Council and the 135,000 residents that we proudly serve, I stand before you today to address an issue of paramount concern to the well-being of our residents. The Victorville City Council wholeheartedly endorses Confire as the ideal partner to deliver these critical services. We firmly believe Confire's expertise, experience, and commitment to innovation make them the most qualified entity to reshape our countywide emergency medical response system. Our county's vast geography, encompassing more than 20,000 square miles, demands a tailored approach to emergency response. Confire's deep understanding of our diverse communities, coupled with its reputation as a trusted public agency, squarely positions it to meet the unique needs of our residents. Victorville's fire department responds at times to 23,000 calls annually, with an estimated 85% being medical service calls. In recognizing the growing demand for paramedic services, we are expanding our paramedic response capabilities. However, we also recognize the need for a more integrated emergency medical response system to alleviate the strain on our 9/11 system. Confire stands out as the only organization capable of unifying all forms of emergency medical response communication and post-hospital release care. Its forward-thinking approach aligns perfectly with Victorville's vision for a future where emergency medical services are accessible, effective, and geared toward our specific needs. The opportunity before us today is not merely about selecting a provider. It is about shaping the future of emergency medical services in San Bernardino County. Confire represents the cutting edge of patient-centered care. And it's a positive and wise investment in the well-being of our communities. Life does happen. My daughter has medically intractable epilepsy, and we appreciate our first responders. Though it took a while to get to her, she received the most excellent care. But we now need to move forward to innovative care for our county. I urge you to seize this opportunity, approve the medical transport contract with Confire, and let us embark on a journey toward a future where emergency medical services are not just a
That's time.
response, but a
Thank you very much. Mayor Helen Tran, who will be followed by Mayor Pro Tem Elizabeth Becerra.
Ladies and gentlemen, esteemed members of the Board of Supervisors, as the mayor of the city of San Bernardino, entrusted to represent the heartbeat of our county, I stand before you with a humble yet urgent plea. Our current system teeters on the brink of dire necessity for change, a transformation that promises a transformative change. The selection of Confire emerges as a beacon of hope in this esteemed board, a commitment rooted in the enhancement of care and the holistic of our residents. Only meets but exceeds every requirement outlined in the RFP, garnering unwavering support across our region. What sets Confire apart is not just their compliance, but their innovation. An approach to emergency medical services that is not only efficient, but economically sustainable, promising a reinvestment that enriches and empowers our communities. I implore you, in the spirit of progress and in service to our constituents, to choose Confire. Their commitment, their innovative solutions, and their overwhelming regional support make them the undeniable choice to provide services. Our collective future hinges on this decision, and I trust that the Board of Supervisors will make the choice that ensures a healthier, safer, and more prosperous tomorrow for all of our residents. Thank you.
Thank you. Mayor Pro Tem Becerra, who will be followed by Peter Roebuck.
Good afternoon, Board of Supervisors. My name is Liz Becerra, and I am the Mayor Pro Tem for the City of Victorville. I am also the city's representative for Confire Board of Directors. I want to thank you for allowing me to stand here and speak to you today. I don't envy the decision you're going to have to make, but we need to. Today is a big day, a monumental day, not only for the county of San Bernardino, but for all the jurisdictions that make up the county, as this item provides us an opportunity to enhance our entire emergency medical response system. As I am sure you know, our county is situated in one of the fastest growing regions in the country. It has been that way now for close to 30 years. As we have grown, our population has increased and the demand for public services has also increased. As public agencies, we are constantly looking at new ways to provide public services more efficiently and effectively. While I value very employees of the current ambulance provider do every day to help respond to our community's emergency needs, we have learned enough over the years that the current system could use a lot of improvement. It is my testimony today that Confire, along with its allied agencies, is best to equip, enhance emergency medical system in a way that keeps pace with the increasingly demand for our medical services. I believe that Confire is the only organization that can unify all forms of emergency medical response. And I believe Confire is the only organization that can fix what is broken in our current system. In closing, I urge you to approve the medical contract with Confire. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you very much. Peter Roebuck, who will be followed by Keith Metzler.
Good afternoon. My name is Pete Roebuck, President of the Chino Valley Professional Firefighters. On behalf of a coalition of 7 labor organizations committed to the well-being and safety of our residents, I urge to select Confire as a provider of ground ambulance service. We appreciate the Board of Supervisors. The release of the RFP demonstrates that how emergency services are delivered in this county needs to be drastically improved and changed. Confire will help make those changes. Our members are unwavering in their commitment to integrity, professionalism, and providing a level of service to the communities that is unparalleled. The men and women that make up our membership approach their responsibility to protect those that are entrusted to serve with the utmost respect and dedication. Confire shares these values, and our organization is built on trust, collaboration, and partnership. The agencies that make up Confire are and will forever remain a steadfast, reliable presence within San Bernardino County. Those agencies have been protecting our communities for over 100 years with highly skilled and stable workforce, deeply trust these they serve. Confire will improve the delivery of services while reinvesting much needed resources back into the community. For these reasons, I urge the Board of Supervisors to select Confire to provide these critical services. And to the EMTs and paramedics of AMR, we're in the trenches day to day. I look forward to continually working with you hand in hand. Thank you.
Thank you. Keith Metzler, who will be followed by Juana Sotelo.
Good afternoon, Chair Rao and members of the board. My name is Keith Metzler, and I'm speaking to you today as the city manager for the city of Victorville. Before I get too far into my comments, I want you to know how much I appreciate the effort you, along with county staff, have put into this item, especially as it relates to having developed a scope to medical emergencies in our local community. One thing that stands out in my mind that I believe will be a major enhancement to the current service model is the requirement that the ambulance provider have a sufficient number of ambulances that are fully stocked to meet the 133% of the peak system demand. However, one thing that's not contemplated in the contract scope is a requirement to reshape the entire EMS response model so that every component that comprises EMS, not just emergency medical transport, can operate at an optimum level of efficiency and evolve to meet the constantly changing medical needs of our residents. As a stakeholder in providing EMS, I can tell you that if awarded the emergency medical transport contract, the Confire Alliance is the only group that can reshape the entire response model, as the Confire Alliance and its member agencies inherently provide the other services that comprise EMS. An award to the Confire Alliance will yield investments in furthering important programs that include, among others, the Emergency Communications Nursing System and Community Paramedicine. These increased investments can reduce the dependency on our 911 system for an EMS response by an ambulance or fire department resource. Absent a transport provider being able to do more in terms of making the collective EMS program better, I would be concerned that we as a county would continue to experience strain on our first responder resources, where our residents will be at greater risk when experiencing a medical or fire emergency. In closing, I urge you to approve a medical transport contract with the Confire Alliance. Thank you.
Thank you. Juana Sotelo, who will be followed by Edward Zubia.
Greetings, members of the board. My name is Juana Sotelo. I am a classified employee from Fontana Unified School. United Steelworkers, a local 8599, and I'm here standing in solidarity and unity for our brothers. AMR Rancho Cucamonga, local 1853. We come here today to remind you that you are a steward of the public's funds, safety, and trust. It is irresponsible to use your seat to vote against renewing the contract with AMR, who has been dedicated to our community for years and have provided good family-sustaining jobs in San Bernardino County. Those of us in this room in our community expect you to take your role protecting our community serious. If you go through with this change in violation of our own rules and process and open us to liability in the future, you're exposing our community to liability with the first accident that occurs. With that said, I want to bring up something very important that kept popped into my, my memories standing here. In September 2023, one of our members from Kaiser Permanente received a phone call early in the morning from our local 7600. She was in distress because her partner had been in a serious accident. She left the premises where we were at the time, and she could not find him anywhere because of John Doe. He was, she suffered for many hours without being able to find him. She remembered one of our brothers from 1853, and she called him up and asked him for his support. Love it. Within 10 minutes, she had all the necessary information to be able to be there by his side. With that being said, please consider on how you vote on this agenda. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Edward Zubia, followed by Mike Lorenz.
You guys hear me? We all good? Mike wise? Okay, so members of the board, my name's Ed Zubia. I'm presently a paramedic with the American Medical Response Rancho Cucamonga Division. I say this distinction with pride. I've proudly served AMR and this community through a multitude of capacities over the last 20 years. I've served as a paramedic and an EMT in all three divisions in San Bernardino County, which we serve. I also have served as an adjunct instructor with AMR's NCTI program. And my present role is as a field paramedic as well as a paramedic preceptor evaluating local collegiate students. I'm a lifelong San Bernardino County resident. I currently reside in the city of Fontana. I'm a disabled veteran, having honorably served in the U.S. Navy during the Persian Gulf War, Southern Watch campaign. My father is also a disabled veteran, having served in Vietnam, which also lives in Fontana. My son was also a former AMR employee prior to entering military service. I've served as a paramedic during COVID, terrorist attacks, and other major medical or just other major emergencies. I'd like to point out that AMR has rightfully earned the RFP award by one distinction alone: merit. AMR continues to strive to place emergency personnel on our streets while alleviating unnecessary tax burdens on our citizens. I'm here to urge the public, to urge you as a public servant and as a taxpayer not to indulge in Confire's proposal. It provides no assurances to our current employees, no honoring of prior contractual agreements through our CBA. It's also threatening our very own jobs. This decreases an overall in our workforce diversity and generates greater unemployment in our community. San Bernardino County Fire continuously has flagged job flyers. If any of our employees really desired to work for them, we would do so. But majority of us do not find working at a 90-hour-a-week capacity as a favorable, balanced lifestyle sustainable. We do not want to suffer the same fate that Santa Barbara County employees of AMR had suffered, as we had right.
Time.
Thank you very much. Our next speaker is Mike Lorenz, who will be followed by John Chapman.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair and the Board of Supervisors. Thank you very much for hearing me today. And on behalf of the San Bernardino County Police Chiefs and the Sheriff's Association, I want to say that we're in lockstep with Confire on this issue. San Bernardino County Police Chiefs and Sheriffs is represented by all municipal police chiefs in San Bernardino County, Sheriff Dykes, District Attorney Anderson, as well as Probation Chief Reese. We understand the importance of when emergency services is requested that they respond, and they respond timely. When our patients aren't able to get to the hospitals, and the public safety side of it suffers as well. It keeps our officers on scene much longer than need to be, and they can't respond to other calls for service. As law enforcement agencies, we have our unwavering commitment to providing the highest level of service to our community. The county's current emergency transport system impedes our ability to do that, and we appreciate the leadership of the Board of Supervisors. The release of the RFP for ground ambulance services demonstrates that the status quo of emergency delivery services needs to be changed, and Confire is that change. And what I could tell you is, being the police chief in the city of Ontario, is we had this little thing called local control, and taking back something that wasn't being managed correctly and to the needs of our community. And when we did that, we saw a better. When you have a service by Confire providing the needs of our own local community, that's extremely important, and I'll tell you that as somebody that lives in this county. So thank you for taking this into consideration.
Thank you very much. John Chapman, who will be followed by Elisa Cox.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair and Board of Supervisors. I'm John Chapman. I'm the President and CEO of San Antonio Regional Hospital. I'm also the incoming chair of the Southern Region for the Hospital Association of Southern California, and you've appointed me to the EMCC. I see what's broken and how to fix it. I will tell you today I'm here representing several hospitals: Kaiser Fontana, Kaiser Ontario, Montclair, Chino, St. Bernardine's, and of course our own San Antonio Regional Hospital. That represents the top 5 hospitals for your ambulance transports. We, as a group, respectfully request that the Board of Supervisors select Confire. In a bit. Our hospitals are committed to delivering exceptional service and providing the absolute best care for those that we entrust to serve. Confire does the same. Exceptional staff has demonstrated sincere devotion to high standards and providing services timely and efficiently. Their resolve to make systemic improvements to the delivery of emergency medical services is reflected in their collaborative approach, and it was collaborative, to engaging multiple stakeholders, which included our hospitals early on. I have yet to meet with a representative from AMR in my 5 years here. Confire's, in partnership with Priority Ambulance, is an innovative, integrated, public-private model that will improve the quality of care of our residents and our hospitals while reinvesting into the system. So what we see, when you hear about APOD times when ambulances can't get out, a big component of that, which Confire recognizes, is we have hardly any service getting our patients that are inpatients out the door the same day. It's so bad, San Antonio Regional Hospital recently bought 2 rigs to do it ourselves. So I respectfully request that the Board of Supervisors select Confire to provide these critical services, and we look forward to partnering with them to provide the care that our patients and communities deserve. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next up, we have Elisa Cox, who will be followed by Scott Ochoa.
Honorable Chair and members of the Board of Supervisors, I'm Elissa Cox, the Assistant City Manager for the City of Rancho Cucamonga, and I'm here today to read a statement on behalf of John Gillison, our City Manager. John sends his deepest regrets that he was physically unable to be here today, and we both thank you very much for considering this important topic. John has worked in the public sector since 1989. Over 25 years of his career, much of it has been spent working with public safety and emergency medical services. Currently, John also serves and has the privilege to be the chair of the Emergency Medical Care Committee, a board-appointed position by yourselves for the Committee of EMS Stakeholders that provides review and advice to ISMA on their oversight capacity for the county EMS system. Over that time, I, John, has come to understand the complex problems plaguing our EMS system. They are complex and the solutions are not simple. EMS is a system, not a process. All the providers need to communicate, cooperate, and work together like musicians in an orchestra. Like many complex systems, problems in one area cause difficulties in others. If one entity plays off key, the entire piece can be ruined. In this case, the county has many amazing fire agencies with dedicated paramedics. The county also is home to a variety of specialized hospitals, different medical providers, and healthcare services. And of course, the emergency ambulance system currently provided by AMR. AMR is a for-profit company whose focus is shareholder return. There's nothing wrong with that, but it does have its inherent limitations. Confire, by contrast, is a public-private partnership made up of all of the fire agencies in the county. Fire agencies governed by the elected officials here in this room. Confire has one focus, and that is providing the right resources to the right call at the right time in the most efficient manner possible. Patient care from beginning to end of the system is of utmost importance. Because Confire's focus is on profit and having to pay those shareholder dividends, during the pandemic, AMR ALS ambulances as contractually required. Confire and its during that time went out and acquired alternative transport vehicles, ambulances by another name, staffed those vehicles so that we could transport critical patients to the hospitals at great expense to ourselves and our taxpayers because it was the right thing to do. Out of that experience, which united labor and management as well as public agency, was born the realization that we as public service can do this and we can do this better. We urge you to heed the voices of your constituents and to vote for the Confire JPA contract. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We have Scott Ochoa, who will be followed by Dawn Downs.
Hello, Madam Chair, members of the board. My name is Scott Ochoa, and I'm the city manager for the city of Ontario. I come to you today on behalf of my mayor and city council to respectfully request that you cast a vote in support of local control and award the ground medical transport contract to Confire. Mass casualty incidents, global pandemic, extreme weather events, these situations and others like them profile the need for the closest collaboration between the county and its local first responder agencies. In every case, local fire agencies acted in concert to provide a coordinated response and deliver an exceptional level of service to residents and businesses. Yet without the ability to seamlessly integrate ground medical transport into our service delivery model, we will never be able to fully maximize the systemic functionality for the benefit of the folks actually receiving the service. Having previously managed an agency that featured its own ground medical transport, I know the difference between response that is serviceable and response that features a service. As public agencies who own the initial EMS contact, we are best suited to service that caller and achieve the best outcome. As a public agency partner, we are able to grow the pot of resources. And as a network of professional EMS and firefighting agencies, we are best positioned to attract, retain, develop, and promote personnel, which in turn assures system reliability and the best patient outcomes. Some may say that the Confire proposal is unconventional, but what I think that means is that it is unprecedented. Yet these are unprecedented times with even new and even more vexing challenges and threats to be managed. This situation demands new ideas, new responses, and new commitments among partners. The time has come and the time is now to move forward into the future of ground medical transport. I thank you for your time and consideration, and I respectfully request
your support on behalf of the Mayor and City Council of Ontario. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Don Downs, who will be followed by Christopher Contreras.
Chairwoman Rowe and members of the Board of Supervisors, thank you for the opportunity to address you today. My name is Dawn Downs, specializing in critical care. I manage the Critical Care Transport Program for Symbiosis, which is a Redlands-based ambulance transport company of over 400 employees. Our out-of-hospital services include urgent care, telemedicine, and special events. We're able to transport in every Southern California county except for San Bernardino. Despite receiving frequent requests from local hospitals for assistance in moving their patients, the current interfacility monopoly prevents us from transporting in our own home county. It feels terrible to have to deny the hospitals their requests for assistance. We strongly support changing from the current monopoly to the public-private model Confire has proposed. After many years of providing high-quality EMS throughout Southern California, we are quite impressed with the Confire proposal and their mission to serve the constituents of San Bernardino. Confire is committed to our community, and their innovative approach will make our EMS system outstanding. Numerous local hospitals agree the current system in San Bernardino cannot stand. As occurs in other Southern California counties, interfacility transfers in San Bernardino should be an open model that allows hospitals to choose from qualified private providers. Not allowing a hospital to choose what ambulance company to contract with and not allowing competition is bad for your constituents. Forcing a hospital to use only one provider to move their patients negatively affects throughput in the hospital. Currently, hospitals in San Bernardino County are forced to wait hours and even days to move their patients, taking up valuable resources and beds. A single provider should have an exclusive contract for interfacility transfer, including my company. Interfacility transport should be an open market for qualified multiple providers to compete, just as in other counties. Hospitals should be able to choose between companies based on the ETA provided and immediate need. Competition, choice, and quality of care is what is best for our community, and the Confire priority model will deliver that. Thank you for your listening and for your consideration.
Thank you. We have Christopher Contreras, who will be followed by Kim Corona.
Good afternoon. I'm a hospital executive with Common Spirit Health, one of the largest nonprofit health systems. I serve as the business development executive at Dignity Health of San Bernardino. With our sister hospital, St. Bernardine Medical Center, we see over 130,000 individuals come to our emergency departments every year. Today, as you hear remarks from those asking to approve the contract for American Medical Response or the consolidated fire agencies to manage ground services, interfacility transport, and critical care transport, I'll ask you to reflect. The one opinion that you may not hear today is that of a patient. I'm here today to offer that perspective on behalf of my organization. As Common Spirit Health, we make the healing presence of God known in our world by improving the health of the people we serve. One of the ways that we bring that to life every day is through daily leader rounding. We each take different rooms to check on patients and ask them if they've arrived safely to our hospitals through the department and if they were safely transported. Quietness, cleanliness, and communication with our caregivers. And perhaps most importantly, we ask housing to return to and if they have a safe way to get back home. For those patients who cannot transport themselves or rely on someone in their circle of care to safely bring them to community hospital in their most vulnerable moment, in their moment of need, community members rely on safe transportation by a first responder and an ambulance, especially between facilities to manage higher levels of care. Today, as you all hear remarks from all parties, please keep a patient-centered mind. At Common Spirit, our vision for a healthier for all is inspired by faith, driven by innovation, and powered by humanity. Today, I invite you all to reflect upon the choices you'll make and join us in that vision by choosing patients and how they will safely arrive and depart from our hospitals. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Kim Corona, who will be followed by Anthony Brown.
Hi, good morning, board and attendees. I am Kim, currently a paramedic with AMR, and I also am the recording secretary in 53. 12,000 is the approximate number of steel workers in just 3 locals in this region, Fontana and Rancho area. 10 are healthcare workers, work in the hospitals, work in the teacher aspect in teacher education, and about 1,000 of those are EMS providers. Working in this county has been awesome, and keep in mind, these steelworkers also are residents here. AMR has been longstanding provider here for several years and has done an excellent job in creating job security for those of us who are currently employed. Steelworkers have secured livable wages alongside AMR. Many were opting to leave and ended up remaining once we collaborated with the company. We've worked together through COVID years to keep our community safe and our member numbers from dwindling due to mass exodus. And this mass exodus with just AMR, it was clear across the board in the healthcare industry. Many of our members were looking to relocate out of state, and due to low wages and rising prices here in California, our members are now able to provide for their families and even purchase homes based on our wages that we collaborated with AMR. Steelworkers have secured stringent timeframe policies. This allows us to not be forced to remain on shift when our assigned shifts end. The mental and psychological well-being of our members allows them to come to work every day prepared. There has been less fatigue amongst our members and less injuries as well. Steelworkers provide medical aid and transport to our own communities. Again, we live here. Many of us reside within this county and we are constituents. We have relied on you, the board, members, to make sound decisions for us and our communities. Having read the summary of proposals, there's questions as to why both proposals are up for review once again. When one proposal providing nearly 2,000 less man-hours and bringing in an out-of-state third-party service does not know this county, does not know these streets, and does not know these communities. Growing up playing sports, we had one saying, the difference between the first and second is 1 point. So my question to you, board members, is this. When did it become acceptable to place proposals side by side in the winner's ring when one was selected over the other? I urge you to make the right decision.
That's time.
Thank you.
Anthony Brown, who will be followed by Shelley Huddleston.
Board members, my name's Anthony Brown. I represent 900 proud members of the Steelworkers, Local 1853. To let you know what we've done here in San Bernardino County. Serving these communities has been a great honor. We created good paying union jobs, union benefits, and language that lets us go home at night on time at the end of EOS. We also have partnered up with AMR to create programs, Earn As You Learn, that pays employees and future employees and paramedic certificates and get paid while they're in school. From the community we serve, from all walks of life, very diverse. I've looked over what Confire has put forth, haven't talked to any of them. Has me very concerned, my members and community, with less unit hours, less units, and more AO positions. As a labor organization, AO positions are a minimum wage position that works more hours and have less representation at the table. They work long hours, sometimes even days. They're forced to stay at work away from their families. As United Steelworkers, we have a saying, if you're not at the table, then you're on the menu. We call each other brothers and sisters because we're together as one. Strength in numbers and strength in unity. They're not just 900 United Steelworkers from Local 1853. There's Steelworkers with two other locals, 7,600 and 8,599. From Rancho and Fontana, and thousands more across Southern California. So I hope when making your decision today, it's the right one. This decision will affect my members, their livelihoods, families, and their way of life. So please take that in consideration. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Shelley Huddleston, followed by Tony Myrell.
Members of the board, my name is Shelley Huddleston, and I am the National Labor Representative for NAGE IAEP. Thank you for the opportunity to speak on behalf of the union members of the San Bernardino-Victorville AMR on this matter that is important to both us as a group and to this community as a whole. It is our wholehearted belief that this RFP should be awarded to San Bernardino AMR in order to continue to deliver the best possible emergency response to our community. I started my EMS career in San Bernardino County more than 30 years ago. I went to paramedic school at Crafton Hills and served the residents in this county. Over these past 30 years in the field and out of the field representing members, I have worked with many of the EMTs, paramedics, and AMR supervisors that still work day in and day out in this field. That's thousands of hours of training and perseverance of working in this field and education. Throughout all this time, they have become completely immersed in the long, fruitful history that is EMS in this region. And one thing has made itself abundantly clear. The private EMS experience running through AMR's veins is the heartbeat of EMS service in San Bernardino, keeping this region safe, healthy, and properly cared for. AMR, through the predecessor companies, has been serving this county for over 40 years. AMR has a diverse workforce that has proudly served the communities in their time of need. AMR paramedics and EMTs have been there for people of San Bernardino through the pandemic, snowstorms in the mountains, the San Bernardino terrorist shooting, and so much more. Always there to answer the call on some of the worst days of residents' lives and offer a beacon of light in the face of so much darkness. AMR has done more than just provide the community with EMS care. They have given back to the community through various community events, especially in the high desert, where they have the annual Feel the Ambulance toy drive, giving away toys to hundreds of children and families. AMR is more than just a great company. It's a great place to work and a great place that takes care of team members in order to keep this EMS system running equitably and efficiently. But more than that, it's the people that come in to work every day determined to make this community a safer place. With these thoughts in mind, I hope that you can see the value that AMR brings to its employees as well as to the San Bernardino community. That's why it's crucial that they continue their to delivering quality EMS care to the region. The EMS system deserves their continued service. San Bernardino deserves their continued service, and we hope that you allow this relationship to blossom even further by delivering us this RFP. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Tony Myrell, who will be followed by Alex Provenshaw.
Thank you, Madam Chair and members of the board. Thank you for giving me this opportunity to speak today. My name is Tony Myrell, and I too was raised here in San Bernardino County. In fact, I attended high school here, go Pirates, all the way through college. My first job out of college was at the old San Bernardino County Hospital as a respiratory care practitioner, better known today as Arrowhead Regional Medical Center. So I'm really tied to this community. Today, I'm here to represent PMT Ambulance. We've been in this county for over 23 years, providing ambulance services in Riverside and Orange counties since the inability for us to provide services in the county of San Bernardino due to the EOA that had been in place for decades. The item before you today is to grant a contract for ambulance services for our county. It includes all level of services. Therefore, I'm here to urge you to support the Confire model. This will allow for other providers in the area to assist when needed. and also to help in improving services within our county, cutting down bed delays for IFT transports. As a member of a board, a hospital board locally, I can tell you bed delays is an issue. Having alternative providers to help provide services in the Confire model makes perfect sense. I urge you today to consider the Confire model, as I think it is a great model and I think it really deserves your attention.
Thank you very much. Alex Provenshaw.
Good afternoon, Board of Supervisors. I come to you before with a unique perspective on this challenge meeting our community today, and I don't have anything prepared, but it's something that affects me deeply, which is please vote for AMR. I have had struggles as somebody who's worked for AMR, not because of AMR, but because of this exact situation. San Diego County, San Diego City specifically, had another agency come in and take over the contract. That was a disaster. If you look into what happened in San Diego, I urge you to please consider what would happen to this county. I know I can only estimate 80% of the fire department that is represented here has worked for AMR. They know their model, they know is, and AMR is only continuing to improve and adapt. This right here, right now, in that decision, if AMR is not awarded the contract, we will take a step back and we will need to renegotiate and reevaluate everything that we have built so far. I'm not here because I am paid by AMR. I'm here of my own volition, and I urge you to stay with AMR because it is a proven model. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Jorge Gomez, who will be followed by Don Dooley.
Thank you. My name is George Gomez. First of all, thank you guys for having me, well, for listening. I work for California Correctional Healthcare System. I am representing two of our institutions that land within this area that may be affected. Chino Prison, California Institution for Men, and California Institute for Women lie within the areas, and within those institutions, I'm going to share a couple points to consider as well in this decision. Tough decision, by the way. Within our facilities, we have approximately 4,000 residents, incarcerated people that live there. Within those institutions, we generate about 30 to 40 calls per month through the 911 system, in addition to interfacility transport that not just go to the local institutions within this county or hospitals within this county, they also go into Riverside County, which is our contracted facility, and down in Oceanside, another contracted facility. During this entire process and the demands of our institutions, we have joined and enjoyed a relationship with American Medical Response over the last 15 years that I've been in this role, and they have met our needs and continue to meet those needs. In addition to, throughout the years, those institutions within this county have had unfortunate large-scale incidents. The last one of the biggest ones, you know, AMR has, they assisted in transporting approximately 50 plus patients to local community hospitals, affecting everybody, air transportations included. In addition to, our institutions are governed by regulations that demand for large-scale incident practices and mock codes and drills that we also enjoy a collaboration with AMR. In regards to our expectation and demands for our institutions, they will continue despite the choice that is made here today. But in closing for me, one of the points that I've learned just recently here is that a potential for decreased ambulances and increased costs will definitely affect us. So I ask you guys to consider that in your decision. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Don Dooley, who will be followed by Melissa Borgia.
Good afternoon, members of the board. I stand before you as the president of United Steelworkers Local 8599, representing the classified staff and hourly employees of Fontana Unified School District. Here from AMR have history in Fontana as well as this county, providing emergency services deeply rooted in our community. Awarding this contract ensures job security in hundreds to maintain higher standards. It upholds the safety to our residents. Under California law and the county's own requirements, the winning bidder must be awarded the contract. We implore you to do the right thing and uphold the committee's recommendation of awarding AMR the contract. We appreciate your consideration and the opportunity to continue to serve in this community. Thank you.
Thank you. Melissa Borgia, followed by Karina Vaidana.
Hi, good morning, everyone. My name is Melissa Borgia, and I'm a proud member of the United Steelworkers Local 7600 out of Fontana. I actually had a speech, but I wanted to just go ahead and talk about my observations today. There have been a lot of accusations saying that AMR is not doing the right thing, that they are not meeting the requirements that have been set forth. But I sat here and I watched the same information that was shared, and I saw nothing but green. I saw nothing but AMR proving that they have year after year, no matter what they've gone through, show that they can do the right thing. So I yet have any that they are not doing what everyone else is accusing them of doing. So I'm a proud union member. If I have learned anything in my union career, 15 years as a permanente, is that all it takes is one voice. And I urge every single person in this room to hear my one voice in doing the right thing. Continue this contract with AMR. This is the only right thing to do. So I may be small, but I am mighty, and I encourage everyone on this board to please support AMR. Thank you.
Thank you. Karina Vaidana, followed by Natasha Rendon.
Hello, board members. My name is Karina Vidania, and I stand in solidarity with the union members for AMR. My niece, Cheyenne Vidania, works as an EM, and I can only show you or say that they have proven, AMR has proven their history of delivering their top-tier emergency services to this county. Awarding them that contract is not just a business move, but it's also a lifeline for this hardworking individuals that are the backbone to AMR. Your decision impacts their livelihood. So I encourage you and to give them that contract, uphold that decision, because they have proven their livelihood and working very hard for AMR. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Natasha Rendon, followed by America Naito.
Hello, I'm Natasha Rendon. I currently am with AMR Rancho Cucamonga. To all the ladies and gentlemen, esteemed members of our community, I stand before you today to advocate for the critical importance of maintaining American medical response as a continued provider for emergency response services in our beloved San Bernardino County. As we consider the future of our emergency medical services, it is imperative to recognize the invaluable commitment that AMR has demonstrated over the years. Excuse me. AMR's proven track record speaks volumes about their dedication to serving our community with compassion, efficiency, and expertise. Time and again, AMR has been a pillar of reliability, providing swift and effective emergency response to those in need, such as in 911 and IFT calls, or in natural disasters, terrorist attacks, and also being extra hands in vehicles did not have the extra people and resources. In times of crisis, we need the certainty that help will arrive swiftly, and AMR has consistently delivered on that promise. The retention of AMR is not simply about preserving a service provider, it is about safeguarding the livelihoods of our dedicated emergency medical technicians, paramedics, and administrative staff. All of these talented individuals form the emergency response services, and any disruption could have detrimental effects on both the quality of care and the local economy. Furthermore, the training and educating the next generation of emergency medical professionals is indispensable. AMR's investment in nurturing a skilled and prepared workforce is vital for the ongoing delivery of high-quality emergency care. We cannot afford to jeopardize this crucial aspect of our community's health infrastructure. AMR's engagement with our community goes far beyond emergency response services. Their involvement is educational outreach, community partnerships, and public health initiative reflects a dedication to improving the overall well-being of our residents. This level of community engagement is invaluable and irreplaceable. As we contemplate the future of our emergency medical services, we must carefully consider the stability and consistency that AMR has provided. A transition to a new provider could introduce uncertainties, potentially disrupting the
That's
extraordinary
time.
level of care.
Thank you. America Nieto, followed by Matt Ballantyne.
With gratitude, I thank you for the opportunity to speak. My name is America Nieto, and I am the resident of the city of Rialto for 18 years. That you take and do your due diligence very carefully in deciding and voting on this matter. For this has the potential to affect, in many moments, life and death. I ask that you not just see this as another usual decision, rather, very seriously, put yourself and your families in the position of the residents of the cities that will be affected by this decision, and prioritize the value of saving lives over financial considerations or over any other issue, but just life and death. Life is precious and should not be taken lightly by. I pray that you may consider what's at stake as you make this decision and not be swayed by what a program costs or how a particular program may make our county look through the eyes of our ego, but rather to truly consider the precious value and the importance of each and all precious life that will depend upon this decision. We need certainty, not. May each and every life is precious, that each and every life is precious and priceless. May God bless you on this very tough decision. Thank you.
Thank you. Matt Ballantyne, followed by Siam Chowdhury.
My name is Matt Ballantyne. I'm the city manager for the city of Fontana. Just want to be brief. I want to thank the board for allowing us to have this discussion. I want to thank the Confire leadership for engaging me and my colleagues and keeping us apprised of what was going on, as well as looking out to better serve our constituents. On behalf of the city of Fontana, I want to extend our support for the Confire contract. Thank you.
Thank you. Siam Chowdhury, followed by Claudia Contreras.
Good afternoon. My name is Saim Chaudhry. I'm currently an EMT with AMR, and I also am a union steward with Local 1853, and I've been proudly serving the community of San Bernardino County. I'm an immigrant that moved to the city of Rancho and have been in this county ever since. I went to Etiwanda Intermediate as well as Rancho Cucamonga High School. I grew up in this county. Similarly, we have heard countless times today from other public officials how much they care about the county that they similarly grew up in. I would like to ask how bringing in an out-of-state that does not have any ties to this county, nor knows the streets or hospitals, is beneficial for these people of San Bernardino. The men and women I work with, like me, are from this county, and we have a personal stake in the diversity that we possess within this community. We strive to provide the best patient care to families similar to that of Nicole Woods by being as personal as we can and going above and beyond to provide the best patient care that we can. We will continue doing everything that is asked of us to serve this county, and then we are also steel strong. Thank you.
Thank you. Claudia Contreras is our last speaker.
Madam Chair, my understanding is she stepped out momentarily, that she should be back shortly in the chamber. So I leave that to your discretion as to how you would like to proceed.
We'll give her about 30 seconds if that's okay. One last call for Claudia Contreras. All right, we're going to bring it back to the board. Would like to see if any of our board members have questions for either of the two presenters. Questions, then I will kick it off for the discussion. So the provision in the RFP that gives us, the Board of Supervisors, the most discretion in awarding a contract to either entity is stated under the heading in the RFP entitled, "The contractor's scope of work is summarized as follows." And then it continues on and it says, "The county realizes that the criteria other than price is important and will award a contract based on the highest scoring proposal that demonstrates the best value and meets the needs of the county." The language contained in other provisions of the RFP discusses the criteria in the contract, which cannot be ignored by the board. And we can consider which proposal is the best value that meets our needs of the county. Furthermore, we have two county policies that I would point to for us to consider: County Policy 1106 and County Policy 1104. And I will summarize 1104 as stating that we have to perform the best value evaluation in the procurement of goods and services. Access to funding creates value. In accordance with an Assembly Bill 1705, the Department of Healthcare Services developed the Public Provider Ground Emergency Transportation, known as PPGEMT, the Intergovernmental Transfer Program, IGT program, to provide increased reimbursements to emergency medical transports provided by eligible, non-contracted public GEMT providers. Of the two proposers that we heard today, Confire JPA may be eligible for this funding, but only Confire JPA. Based on these things, as well as the fact that 3 of the 4 evaluators ranked Confire JPA higher than AMR, I would support awarding the contract to Confire JPA.
I do want to say, first of all, thank you all for being here today. This has been probably something in my 9 years been on our mind for a long time was, do we go to RFP for ambulance or not? And you have both put on great presentations, and I can't take anything away from all the public safety, both fire and AMR, for providing life-saving services to our residents, you know, the decades that you've been serving. So thank you for doing that, and thank you for continuing to do that. You know, a lot was said today, but what I believe our role in government, local government, is to provide safety, public safety services for our residents. Without that, nothing else works. And that belongs with our life-saving, our fire, our sheriff or police departments. If you have a safe community, that really handles the best. For me, I was really looking at the integration or coordination of services with our local paramedics and fire. And so I see the value in what our chairwoman had brought up of, I guess, seconding your motion, Madam Chair.
I didn't actually move it. I was just providing my
You're
thoughts.
providing your thoughts, okay. I do think, well, then I'll move it when the time comes. I think the integration of our life-saving services are so important. I've seen it when it was strained as chair during COVID. I've seen that need to have a combined service with all our public safety officials, and our local fire departments do a fantastic job of servicing their local residents. And I also seen it when it's needed on mutual aid on a grand scale. We've had some many disasters in this county, man-made and natural. And to see the coordination and the service from one department to the other during that mutual aid has been on my mind quite a bit as well. To have that seamless coordination of services is something I really very much admire.
Thank you. Vice Chair Cook?
Yeah, I thank all the participants and people that are here today. This is one of the most important decisions that we have to make. And it's kind of personal with me. I'm the oldest one on the board, so I'm probably going to be in the best position to use some of these services. I'm sorry, I look much younger. Anyway, somebody who's been medevac twice, as I said, by helicopter, a lot of strange thoughts go through, and this arguably, as I said earlier, is one of the most serious decisions we have to make. I think both agencies have a lot to be proud of, and it's very difficult. I weighed all that. I try to get input from my cities, my towns, and the different fire agencies. And I've decided to go with Confire. Thank you.
Supervisor Baca?
Yeah, thank you, Madam Chair. Just, want to thank the electeds that took their time to come out here, the city managers and AMR employees and all the support staff that are here. Really appreciate hearing all the testimony. And I think as we look at everything, two things are very important to me personally. Number one is just a service to our county residents. I mean, that's just number one, increasing response times. And I'm very confident, with our county fire groups and all the great things they did. As making this decision, one of the things I did is I consulted with the chief of Colton, the chief of Rialto, and our own chief Muncie here in San Bernardino County. And based on, the input that they gave me, I value their input, I value their response, I value their professionalism, and I feel confident. I want to thank Madam Chair Kennedy, who I serve with on the Confire board. So I sit on the board and I hear the conversations they have. It's a very professional board. They do an outstanding job, and it's an honor to be on that board with our steelworkers who represent the AMR employees. That's very important to me, that we take care of those employees. And when you look at the language contract that they just recently negotiated, I want to, one, make sure that they're given fair compensation, but also consider the language in their MOU, that we make sure that we take care of them, because we want them to feel comfortable. I want to hopefully Confire, if we make that decision for Confire, they help with the transition to keep these employees, because that's just the number one. As you listen to the employees, a lot of them live in our community, so we want to make sure that they're taken care of too, because that's always been a big thing for me when it comes to our county fire, is making sure that we have locally grown employees, and the fact that they're from our community, let's make sure that we take care of them. So I'm in support of the Confire contract. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Supervisor Armendariz?
I'm going to make it short and sweet. I'd like to make a motion to deny AMR's protest and award the ambulance service contract to Confire.
Thank you very much. Supervisor Hagman, would you like to second that motion? We need to deny the protest, so it needs to be a
I'll
very
second.
formal motion.
I'll second.
Thank you. All right, so I have a motion by Supervisor Armendariz, a second by Supervisor Hagman. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed?
Thank you, Madam Chair. With that, the motion passes to deny the AMR appeal and to approve the contract with Confire.
Thank you. Thank you all very much. Many thanks to AMR and thank you to Confire. With that, we stand adjourned. Our next regularly scheduled Board of Supervisors meeting will be here at 10 a.m. in chambers on December 19th. Thank you all.